While you're doing that, I'll ask a few questions. So, lighting is surprisingly, well, not surprisingly in hot demand, but it is still surprisingly not a lot of studios are having a whole, well, lighting department, right? Not a dedicated lighting department. They're still in like the beginning stages of setting that. It's not as common around in the industry.
Right.
All right. So, what's the landscape of that looking like? Are you feeling like it's both supply and demand, where not a lot of people are discovering that lighting is a whole separate thing for people who want to get into this business, and studios not respecting lighting enough to kind of dedicate lighting to a dedicated person?
I think some of it's just legacy. I think if you look at the studios that are at the forefront for visuals, right? Like studios like Naughty Dog, Activision, they pour a lot of money and time into lighting and materials. They ramp up their lighting departments really, really, really big. I think Last of Us 2 has like 12 lighters or something like that on their team. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're doing cinematics and stuff as well. But yeah, like I think the studios that really, really care about the visual fidelity of their games, they've been investing in lighting because they see how powerful it is. Like if you look at Pixar movies, like Toy Story 1 versus Toy Story 4, like there's a huge jump, and most of it's from the lighting and rendering. Like some of it's from modeling, models can be a little bit beefier now, and, texturing has come a long way too. But the lighting materials has been really pushing visuals forward. And people are starting to see things more like a cinematographer would in film. So things aren't just like drag and drop a point light just so people can see in this corridor. It's like, how can we craft this frame to look super sick? And I think people have seen the value in that. I do think that not a lot of people know about it as a skill set. It's a full-time thing. You're starting to see a lot more lighting artists like on ArtStation. A lot of juniors are starting to do like relighting of scenes and stuff, which is super cool. So people are getting interested in it, but I don't think it's like as widely known. People, when they think about working in video games, they either think, oh, I'm going to be a programmer, or I'm going to do like concept art or characters or environments. They don't think about, some of the more niche skill sets like visual effects or lighting. But I think it is getting more popular. And I think people are looking at games like Last of Us 2 and stuff, and they're like, oh shit, like how are they making this game look so damn good? And a lot of it's coming from that.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is missing just to kind of make it more widely available and widely known in the next few years? Do you feel like it just takes, we're just in another game cycle, another game development cycle where Last of Us 2 or Last of Us 3, where we're finally caught up, where the environment department is just as heavy as the lighting department? I mean, like places that you already named, Activision, Naughty Dog, these companies are already ahead of the curve, but they're definitely the top 10%. 90% of the companies around the world right now are still trying to find these lighting artists, but finally acknowledging, I think we're in a stage, at least where I feel, they're finally acknowledging lighting is its own separate thing.
Yeah, I think, the cool thing about our industry is people share knowledge all the time. Like you have GDC and SIGGRAPH and stuff where people are doing these talks and they're seeing rendering programmers drop really sick lighting tech. And I think that's become very inspiring. And engines like Unreal and Unity, they come out of the box with really, really good lighting and rendering where you can make your projects look really, really awesome, really fast. I think a lot of engines back in the day, especially for like PS2, PS3, and Xbox 360 and stuff, it was just very much just like environment artists or level designers to do the lighting. And it was just more like a visibility thing, or like quick color palette stuff. But now that you have things like subsurface scattering and like awesome contact shadows on characters' faces and stuff like that, you can really shape and craft things like you couldn't before. And now that we're getting like ray tracing and stuff, like we're starting to bridge that gap a lot closer to what feature film is like. So I think, I think this era lighting started being taken a lot more seriously than the last generation of consoles, but I think next generation is going to push that even further. And make it a lot more accessible to people because of things like ray tracing and stuff. You can get better looks a lot faster. with fewer lights.